take that up very seriously, because sometimes we're focusing on the direct impact on persons with disability, but if we don't build the enabler ecosystem, nothing is going to happen. So let me now shift to Sabapati sir. Um, it was a wonderful conversation we had earlier, and to see on the ground at a district level like Davanagere, which has wonderful benne dosa, for those who are interested. The first thing I was like, I want to come and have benne dosa there. What role are the CRCs playing? I know that you have existed for 9 years at least in Davanagere, and you have now a place, wonderful big place, I think with 45 rooms. So what is the role they're playing in supporting this whole skill development programs and also for different categories of disabilities? Because we also want to focus on neurodiversity, intellectual disability, etc. And especially in the context of RPWD, and if you can give a little idea.
Yes, madam. First, my sincere thanks to the organizers, 40 years old organization, given birth to enabling India, and having RPWD Act 10 years past, and the CRC down 9 years past. We are also in the 10th year. So it's a journey. So, and we are operating from a very small space for a period of around 8 years. So last 1.5 years, we have got a permanent place with enough space to actually move around and to start a skill development training. So in this 9 years time, around 13,000 persons with disabilities across different types, all 21 type of disability persons, they have come, registered, and we have a kind of resource set up. All therapies are being given, assessment to intervention, and all therapies are being given. Physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, counseling, vocational training, special education, under one roof, one-stop solution for all 21 disabilities, that too in Davangere. So which was actually like very much in needed, and the uptake is very nice. And out of this 13,000 people who registered with us, around 8,000 people, they have received some device. Initial 5 years, like we were being giving through the ADIP grant given by the DEPW department. Now Alimco's PWDs center is functioning in our organization, and in this year alone, nearly 3,000 persons with disability registered and received devices. Along with the device, the training for using the device, all therapy related trainings, after getting the device, how to use it and how to get themselves independent more and more. Along with that, now the skill development training is also there. So we have started giving skill development training in 3 different areas. Third batch of assistant plant caretaker training is going on now, and each batch is actually 6 months period program, wherein intellectual disabled children are enrolled and trained for a period of 6 months time, and SCPWD comes into picture. They do all the assessment, and we give certificate to them. Actually, they are very proudly claiming the certificate and moving out. And approximately till now, around 50 candidates. In the present batch, 12 candidates are under training. Fourth month, the training is going on. Besides this assistant plant caretaker training, one batch of employability skills training is being done. So, wherein also 14 people were trained in a period of 1 month time. Approximately around 10 are placed, and they are continuing their job also. Free coaching scheme is another scheme in which we are also running our training for a period of 9 months. Free coaching for bank exam, Institute for Banking Personnel Selection, IBPS exam. So second batch we are running now. In the first batch, 19 students have enrolled, and since we don't have the hostel facility to allow the students to reside with us, so though we get around 50 plus registrations from Jammu Kashmir, from West Bengal, Odisha, I got registrations. Social media, thanks to all the promotions, we got registrations. But the one first question they'll ask, like, do we have a hostel? So no, we are located 7-8 kilometers away from the city, and we have vehicle facility to commute people actually in specific times. And government bus is also coming to our facility 3 times in a day. Then also the different language and all, having disability also another barrier, so they don't want to move in actually. So we get a batch size 19 in the first batch, and second batch, like now we have 13 people going on. 9 months training program with a stipend of 6,000 rupees per month and book allowance. So quite a good amount actually to really inspire them to continue the training. 3 of them they have cleared APSC prelims exam, and 5 of them they have moved into banking in the apprenticeship program actually. In the last batch. So few of them they opted to continue to prepare actually, like they are still continuing UPSC and KPSC preparations. So first batch is like that, and in the second batch also like we are moving ahead actually. Like out of the 13, one already got the banking and apprenticeship, 3 got the banking apprenticeship, 1 moved in. Another 2 they don't want to go for the apprenticeship, they want to continue the coaching, they are continuing with us. So it's a bright opportunity. Now in these 3 trades already we have established our footprint and we are moving on. Another 3 more programs we are likely to start. So it is a process wherein actually like PMDAX portal plays a vital role. So we get candidates registered, their demands registered by themselves actually like in the portal, and we ourselves register the project specific proposal in the portal, and we get a process of approvals actually. First we get offer letter, then we discuss and we sign and we submit the signed copy, upload it, and we get commencement letter. Then we need to actually figure in who is the trainer. We have to select the trainer, upload the trainer's credential. Trainer should be trained by.
So we'll come to the
yes.
That what we were talking earlier,
okay.
right? The from a challenges perspective,
okay.
perhaps later.
Okay.
I think it's good that you're also building the hostel now.
Yes.
Right? I think
yes,
100
yes.
for 100 people.
100
yeah. So
it's sanctioned and about to. Within a year,
it's huge. The premise, it's amazing, and
Thank
in
you.
fact, there's an important institutionalization that has happened because of which he's able to do the employability. I think when Rajesh ji was there, he very smartly took the Quest Alliance curriculum, which was done for non-disabled. Enable India worked on the employability for persons with disability. Then they organized TOTs across the country. So that is why when you have such institutional processes, things really percolate. We do the same thing with Root SETI and RSETI and National Academy of Root SETI. So this institutionalization enables things to happen at the ground level really well.
Yes, madam. I am trained by the Enable India team members. It's a 5-week training program. It is not just me. After that, the previous secretary sir was a very dynamic personality, and he enabled with one order actually. All the RC affiliated institutions, they must have to implement this employability skills as an additional paper to their existing paper actually, because all the professionals also need these skills. So now it has been implemented in across 1,000 institutions actually. So that was developed, co-created with the support of Enable India. So thank you very much for that.
Our role was only the grassroots, but really, unless somebody, a leader, thinks like this, we cannot even know that something like this is possible. So thank you so much for that. Now we'll come to Suman. You can see that we are going in the order of central, then you come to district. Now let's come to grassroots in especially with intellectual disability, etc. So I'm actually taking a question on especially the reasonable accommodations. I think the questions have been framed really well, and. So the question, reads like this, and then I really like your immediate response for that, right? How can reasonable accommodations be effectively operationalized in training centers and workplaces? So we have all these things happening, but finally there have to be these kind of accommodations. It could be assistive technology, job coaching, flexible assessment, etc. without compromising productivity or standards. And I know that I really love the response you have regarding without compromising productivity or standards. If you can first start with that, and then we will discuss the reasonable accommodations.
Okay, thank you so much, Shanti. Thank you, Seva in Action, for this forum, and congratulations to the whole team on your 40th anniversary. So when I first read the question, I had to reread it because it said without compromising productivity or standards, and that's a narrative that all of us are guilty of. And all of us need to change, because accommodations do not compromise standards. Instead, accommodations, the word itself is wrong. It's universal design that all of us are talking about. And when we put everything right to include everybody, then we're just saving on time and cognitive dissonance and everything for everyone. And we're making it a more universal and inclusive workplace.
So I will first reframe it and just say, So how can we use this opportunity working with, so I think the first point here is our framing from now on, even when we are submitting these policies, are going to come from the fact that we are dealing, like for example, our persons with disability are customers, consumers. The enablers are all going to have jobs. So when somebody said special educators are only one per whatever, if you have more educators, that's more jobs for the country when AI is taking away everything.
In fact, just to add to what you're saying is that that's what I keep telling the industry. Don't look at these differently abled people as your only employees. They are tomorrow's consumers.
Exactly.
And more they affiliate with you in terms of somebody who's supporting the cause,
Yeah.
is a higher business opportunity. It's one single largest segment in the country that you'll get. You can't get anywhere else.
In fact, I'll just tell you all because as part of Purple Economy, we did a total accessible market study on how much, and it is $150 billion through persons with disability only. This is $150 billion. And if I take
India or global?
Only India. Only India and total unrestrained. Means I'm not thinking whether you're poor, rich or anything like that. It is 450 billion. But we prefer to talk of 150 billion given poverty and other things like that. So I think from now on our framing is going to be opportunities. We'll talk less about gaps because when you say opportunities, people are interested. When you talk economy, people are interested. When you say jobs and businesses, people are interested. So anything in this policy, we're going to write that map. That's all I want to say. With that, hand it back to Suman for the reasonable accommodations. The 4 types of accommodations you talked about was very logical. If you can go ahead with that.
So I sort of put this down from the point of view of the organization that I run. I run a social enterprise. We're for profit. We're 13 years old, and we're a production unit. We're a gifting company. Now, I've sort of put it down as, let's start with physical accommodations. So, intellectual challenges, as all of you know, affects abstract measurement. So if I tell somebody, cut ribbon, which is 15 centimeters long, they're going to be there's a roadblock they're facing. So I just want to tell you the story that happened a couple of years ago. We were making these little pouches for international order, a bracelet which was creating awareness about breast cancer would go into each of these pouches. Pouches need to be screen printed. Bhuvna, a girl born, she's not a girl, she's 41 years old, born with Down syndrome, and 2 of her team members, Rekha and Aisha, both with IDD, were tasked with the job of putting in newspaper of a certain size into these 3,000 bags, and it had to be finished in 2 days. Now, end of day 1, Bhuvna is still not getting these pieces of paper because the neurotypical people on my team they're so busy doing other stuff, they've forgotten to cut these pieces of paper. What does Bhuvna do? Bhuvna takes a piece of paper home. There is one sample somewhere. She takes it home. She gets her whole family to sit down that night. And she comes in the next morning with this plastic bag filled with newspaper, shows it to her team leader, Lakshmi, who comes with her and the bag, comes to me and says, see what Bhuvna's done. And for all of us, I think all of us had tears in our eyes. And to me, it was a rap on my knuckle to say, why haven't I made this easier for her to do and not struggle? And so today we've kind of made sure that every bag that would require this kind of screen printing and this kind of process has a little jig, so she knows exactly what size to cut for each bag. And she's also been taught to cut herself, to draw the lines and cut it herself. And that way she taught us a lesson, and she's also empowered so many more people on the team.
And so much more efficiency for everybody, right? I'll be better if I came and had to join you.
So the next kind of accommodation that I want to talk about is also something really simple, something that we would think was really stupid, but a cognitive accommodation. So we know that executive functioning issues are a problem for our group. And so multi-step planning becomes difficult. So if I say, make the chocolate box and get it ready for filling with chocolates, that's going to be a tough ask. So what do we do at the end? We use an assembly line mode. So, one person folds. So Prithvi is our folder. He's born with Down syndrome, precise, perfect folding. Somebody else puts the liner in, somebody else puts the cups in. So each one becomes a specialist, and very quickly the job is completed. The third kind of sensory accommodation is what I call sensory accommodation.
Before that, I just want to ask people, do we need this for Gen Zs? I'm just asking you. Not even on a lighter note, because the cognitive overload comes from smartphones. So perhaps they also need this. So anyway, sorry, continue.
So sensory accommodation, where I'm really looking at what is the kind of sensory overload or understimulation team members on my team have. So for example, if it's someone who needs that kind of pressure every day and needs, is easier to get into a workflow if I put him on to say sanding or put him on to the clay, getting the clay ready for the ceramics that we do, then he gets into a workflow and he's more at ease through the day. Or if it's somebody who needs less, needs quiet and needs space to do her work, then I would put her on to designing on the diya or something that is more, which is calming for her. So kind of figuring out what kind of work best suits sensory requirements of our people is also a kind of accommodation that we look into. Now, we're different in the sense that we're not like the typical workplace, right? We are a sensitized lot at DIA. We are working with a group that we know really well, and we understand the reasons for why people work or don't work. And we're able to put these accommodations in. Now, in a larger workplace, now from DIA Foundation, we place a lot of people in open employment. And while accommodations are made in, structural accommodations are made easily because it's easier to measure, easier to tick off. Also, there is an audit, and the audit makes sure that companies comply by that audit. But what we find, the reason we find people coming back from open employment is what I would call the attitudinal accommodation, where I don't find attitudinal accommodation happening easily at all. And here I want to bring in something that, Shanti had a discussion about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, where, she was talking to us to share a concept with us. Can I share the concept openly?
Absolutely, it's very important.
So the concept was about what she calls the includability quotient, and to try and see how we build an includability quotient into each and every member or each and every citizen, so that everything just gets easier for our folk. And
if I can just add to that, it's a competency which means knowledge, skills, and attitude. And every leader now understands that it's not about the candidate only being employable. You also need to be includable. That means you need to be able to look past a difference. And we have learned it from disability. But it could be you have a fresher and you're like, ye kuch kaam nahi karega. So normalizing difference is one of the main principles of includability. How do you push strengths? How do you find solutions for weaknesses? This looks like as if you're talking about disability. No, it is actually for everybody. And then how do you create a level playing field? There's a competency framework, it's very simple. And this has really worked with leaders, because till that time, we have been doing sensitization. Everybody agrees? How many millions of sensitizations have we all done put together? But today we are able to identify parents with high includability quotient. It's a tangibility that you understand. If this person is able to see the good, the strengths of the child, rather than, they've not even gone past the difference, then it's a problem. So similarly with leaders.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering whether, we could look at some kind of, what you would call an enforcement of attitude, because that's what you have to do, and you can't enforce without policy. And so like we did really well with the POSH policy, maybe this is something that we could put together, some kind of a, enforcement of attitude
Absolutely
kind of policy.
required.
Brilliant suggestion. Like a PWD certificate should become an integral part of every corporate
And
sector and every organization.
I think if you do this one measure,
Yeah.
right? And also now, by the way, do you see jobs? By the way, you know how many POSH organizations exist? Right? POSH
It's a
trainer,
vital POSH
blah, blah.
trainer.
So this is what it is. So it becomes, and by the way, in the absence of DEI, which people whom we don't want to mention, one person, similar to each other, right? So include ability is what we should look at, and chief includability officer in every company. It has nothing to do with one type of
irrespective of
anything.
job, caste, creed, what you
Nothing.
are. It's just a general concept by itself.
See, think of normalizing difference between right wing and left wing. Then you'll understand what includability is. Okay, I'm just telling it to you now. You really we have a tool for that. It's so simple, it is usable and it can be done. I promise you. So anyway, sorry.
So
I
I'm
think we
also-
got a concrete
Yeah.
policy, ma'am. Have I done my job? Thank you. Please continue.
Long way to go.
और थोड़ा है और थोड़ा टाइम है ना समझो
So also trying to see, in this policy, sort of also putting down standard operating procedures. For example, I'll give you an example. So don't ask a manager to be patient. Instead, you have a SOP, which is all tasks for this team member must be assigned via email with bullet points. Just making it SOP and not something that is dependent on the manager's mood. Also incentivizing inclusion. So for example, add a retention metric. I was so happy to hear that retention numbers are so good. But I find that if you look at IDD, retention measures are not so great in the placements that we have done over the last 10 years. And if you add a retention metric to KRA, then, so if your neurodivergent hire leaves within 3 months, it negatively impacts your people manager score, because I think if you do that, then immediately the manager is going to think differently, is going to figure out how to be more includable in everything that he or she does. And also probably have a grievance officer so that, there is...
which is in the PWD anyway. So,
but kind of also look for includability when we're talking.
100%. I think that tangibility now helps you to identify what should you look for. When you're saying tasks, it's like everybody has, so the intellectual disability means the cognitive overload for the manager. I don't know if you understand what I'm getting at, but SOPs help everybody, again, coming back to it, right? So it helps the manager who's having an intellectual disability about their IDD candidates. Okay, perfect. Yes. So let me just move on. So